Your mental is tested, literally tested, that you're like, okay, I see what they were talking about. You don't understand until you're going through it. There is literally nothing that you could have told me to literally prepare me for this. Hi, my loves. I'm back, and now I am a 1 month postpartum. I am doing good and I am enjoying motherhood. It is not the easiest thing. It has its challenges, but it's all worth it for my baby, my bundle of joy. He can be a bit demanding, but like I said, it's all worth it. When you just experience carrying a life, once you actually lay your eyes on that baby, it's just the most fulfilling emotion ever. You go through a range of emotions just experiencing postpartum in general. I can't really put it into words. There's different things that I've experienced physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in one whole bunch. Sometimes I'm like in an up and down mood and I can't really explain it in the moment. Some days I feel weird and out of place, but for the most part, I can say it's been a very rewarding feeling just being able to care for this little boy and still being able to care for myself. I do have his dad, my partner. We work really good as a team. And honestly, it's not a 50-50 give and take. It's really like if I have the bunch of the energy during the day, maybe the baby might get more of me, and then vice versa. It definitely takes a village to raise a child because we've had help from his mother and his siblings on the weekends. The second week of our baby being born, he actually went with his Glammy for 4 days. So he left on, that was Friday evening, and then came back on Monday. Now I've cut it back to just the weekend because I do enjoy having my child and his dad does too. But she really loves having him too. So it does help us get a break, because dads get tired as well. So it's not just me. We're both new to this, but we are true to this. And I just want to get all the way into the things that no one actually could prepare me for before having my baby. So, number one, I would say no one can really truly prepare you for the lack of sleep you are going to experience. When you are in the hospital, there is going to be someone intervening, interrupting every pretty much hour to 2 hours to come and check on you and baby. In my experience, my child had to get his blood sugar checked every 2 to 3 hours before his feedings because of his weight. He was not underweight, but at a certain weight, they do want to check that blood sugar just to make sure that everything is okay. So he had to get pricked on the bottom of his foot and they would go back and squeeze at it, just due to the change of nurses and everyone having their own techniques. Some nurses he would take well to, and some my baby was not having it. And of course, it was his first day being out of my womb. So just getting used to everything on the outside world was a lot for him in general. And I was really tired because I had been up for a full basically 48 hours at this point, up until after I had given birth to him. So life in the hospital for those first few days was a lot because we stayed for 2 days. That was on top of how long we were already there for when I had given birth to my baby. That first night, it was pretty rough because my baby was congested. He had swallowed some of the I can't remember the proper term for it, when they use it on themselves, in the womb. There's this fluid that's mixed with the amniotic fluid from when they do pee or poop. And it came out after my water broke. And They were pretty sure because of how thick it was that my baby had swallowed it, which he did. It's pretty common. So when he came out, they already knew that they would have to suction in his mouth and in his nose to get that out. But the babies kind of have to work it out on their own. My baby was having a hard time doing that without being frustrated. Okay. So it got to a point where I was just feeling his pain, and I felt so bad because there was not much that I could do but try to comfort him. But on top of me being tired and just wanting some rest and feeling frustrated for him, it really made me very emotional. I was just so sad seeing him cry like that. Even with his dad's help, that motherly instinct that you have to just want everything to be right for your baby just took over me, and I truly felt helpless. But once we were able to get some rest, both him and I got to a point where I had to give in and just let my baby go to the nursery. I was able to get hours of sleep, which really helps me a lot. That was that, once we left the hospital, coming home, of course, getting adjusted to that newborn schedule, which they don't really have a schedule, but they wake up every 2 hours wanting to eat. And I've been breastfeeding, so we've been doing a combination of breast milk and formula because, of course, when I was in the hospital, I probably wasn't producing as much milk as my baby needed. So we were doing a combination of me nursing and the ready to go formula bottles that they had to provide in the hospital. And when we came home, we had about 2 to 3 boxes of that. So he was drinking that, but I was very adamant with his dad that I wanted him to be nursed. He understood that, but he also wanted to just know that our child was getting what he needs as he should. But of course, I stand 10 toes on the fact that I wanted my baby to have, breast milk. So he's been doing so much better with that. And I would say in the beginning, it was definitely 50-50. I would breastfeed him majority of the time. And then the other times he would have the formula bottles. In the beginning, it was definitely like interrupting our sleep, kind of restless, but we were really happy to have him at home because it was just much more of a peaceful atmosphere, not having anyone interfere with our environment and our baby when he is sleeping. So that was a 100% change of atmosphere and energy altogether. Honestly, I felt so much better when we came back home, to be completely honest with you, and his dad did too. And you can tell that our baby definitely became more adjusted to being in his own space and not having to be bothered with anyone else but his two parents. I definitely feel like I was a little hard on myself when I first came home. Of course, I couldn't help the fact that my body just had to recover, and I'm still recovering in different ways now, but I definitely feel more like myself than I did when I first came home. My biggest thing was when I first started pumping for my baby, I would cramp really bad. So you get this really, really bad cramping sensation in the stomach and in your back. Actually, when I first got my biggest pump session, which was 9 ounces of milk within 15 minutes, I experienced the worst cramps that literally put me down for like 40 minutes straight, and it was scary. Honestly, no one ever told me about that. And we were getting ready for baby's newborn appointment. So that literally slowed down everything as far as me getting him ready, getting myself together because his dad was out on a walk, and it just really threw everything off course. So that was something that I was just like, oh my gosh, getting ready with a newborn, you just never know what to expect. So many things can come up and just kick everything back, and you think that your plan is going to go accordingly, but it really doesn't. I would say that I would have this feeling of not wanting to share my baby. I knew that before, But once he came home, I was definitely in shambles, just thinking about the fact that I have to share a gift that God gave to me and his dad with the world. It was from a selfish place, but in a good way. And also just thinking about this crazy world that we live in, I'm just like, he has grandparents, he has family members that want to be around him and love on him and have them with them. And you cannot prevent everything from happening, and that's just with life in general. But obviously, if you're not there with your child, you just have to stay prayed up. And that's with anything in life. But definitely when you have a child, it teaches you to really put your faith fully into God and really just trust that he has you, he has everything under control, and that your family are under his protection at all times, because anything can happen. But with God's protection and just his love, that's what keeps me calm, with knowing that when my baby is away, he is fine. I just had this huge breakdown on the second night of him being home after giving him a bath and we were getting him ready for bed. I was just like, I don't know what is going on. Like, I'm just so, I'm not sad, but I just don't want to share him with anyone. I want to keep him to myself. That's how I felt. And I went through these range of emotions while I was pregnant, and I had my moment where I was like, well, I don't want to share him with, his grandmother or any family members until he's like 3 months. And realistically, that's just not going to happen unless you guys live in a bubble or you just live far away from everyone, because you're going to come to a point where you do need the rest. You do need that break for the weekend, or shoot, it would be good to be able to pour into myself for, a couple of days while he's gone. I know that he's fine. They check in, they're calling my phone so that I can see my baby. He's coming back in one piece. Once you experience the support that everyone is ready to give you and your baby and your family as a whole, it really feels good. As long as no one's disrespecting me and we can come to one accord when it comes to this one beautiful soul, this beautiful gift that God has blessed all of us with, it's like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. As long as you respect what I want for my child as his mother and his dad, which he doesn't really have too many expectations, just that his child is safe pretty much, then we have no problem with you taking him, for the weekend, as long as we can stay on one accord. 9 times out of 10, any grandparent or family member that's very adamant about wanting to be a part of that child's life, they're going to pretty much follow through, because they don't want any problems. They don't want anything to interfere with that opportunity of them being able to be a part of that child's life. Point blank, period. And he is the first great grand, first nephew, first everything in our family. So it's just no brainer, pretty much. Another thing I would say that no one prepared me for in this journey of becoming and being a new mother is that some things just don't matter. I just have to have things a certain way. You can see my couch in the background. We have a cloud couch. The cushion covers are currently being washed. We like for our house to be a certain way. And even when it comes to my daily living, something that is a part of my self-care is having a very clean space. I tend to do this thing where when I get up, I might jump straight to just cleaning my space rather than brushing my teeth and washing my face, which I do those things, but I also do them at night. So once I wake up, I'm just on go. Like, this has to get cleaned up. Sometimes I try to clean up before bed just so that when I wake up, things can be clean. But child, when you get a family, actually having a child with your partner, you just learn that, especially in those early phases, things are not going to be perfect. So you might not be able to do those things before bed, and you find yourself doing them in the morning. Then the baby needs me. Then I just want to help his dad out because I want things done a certain way for my child. That is something that I've had to be a little bit more lax with, knowing that I'm not going to be able to clean up every 5 seconds. And two, trying to do those things sometimes can take away from my energy level physically and mentally. So I have to just take a step back from those things at times and just sit down and woosah for a second, because trying to control my atmosphere every 5 seconds just does not help me. It doesn't pour into me the same way that it did when I didn't have my baby. It literally will drain you sometimes. Sometimes it's fine to just let go and let God, okay? Because you will stress yourself out, and no one needs that, especially with a newborn. Another thing no one could prepare me for are the appointments. You have to make sure that you stay on top of making it to your baby's appointments. When you come home, within that first 48 hours, you are supposed to follow up with the pediatrician where we live. It is a requirement that they are seen by their pediatrician within that first 48 hours, because they have to follow up and make sure that whatever they had going on while they were at the hospital after birth, that there's progress being made as far as the weight, how much they're eating, and anything that you would want to address with their pediatricians. Say, for instance, like for me, I was very concerned about my child's breathing before we left the hospital. So, if that were not improving, or if I had any questions pertaining to that, just to make sure, like, hey, if he's breathing like this, is that okay? Whatever concerns or questions either of you as parents have for your child's well being, they are able to address those things right then and there, rather than waiting, a month out. Which, like I said, if you're not following up within that time frame, they can even report that to DFS. For us, it was a struggle, just because it was something that we weren't used to, as far as still having to get up and get ready with that newborn, even if you guys are striving off of 3 hours of sleep. Even though our child has been receiving the care that he is supposed to receive, that was just the area that we kind of struggled with, even with that second appointment, just feeling like, oh, we're tired and we need to reschedule. And just also knowing that your treatment for your child can be discontinued if you're not rescheduling ahead of when your appointment is. So say if you have an appointment at the crack of dawn, basically when the office first opens, but you're not able to reschedule right before that, which technically would have been the day before, then they can say, if you do that more than once, they can just go ahead and discontinue treatment altogether, because that is taking up a space where someone else could have been seen. And essentially, they're losing money that way. And I know this because I'm in the medical field. So, yeah, that's definitely something that we struggled with, but we've been doing way better now. Another thing I would say would just be adjusting to the routine and understanding that you are adjusting as the baby is adjusting, as the baby is growing, as the baby is getting used to their life, sleeping more regularly and feeding. The times begin to vary as they start to grow. Even as they're having growth spurts, they can cluster feed a lot, and you might be up a lot throughout the night. That's just something that comes with being a new parent. And I believe that we all kind of know these things prior to having our child. We know what we're signing up for, but the experience itself is just something that words cannot prepare you for. It's just like with giving birth, it's just some things that, you might have heard that these things might happen during labor, but it's not until you actually feel it and actually go through it, your body and your mental is tested, literally tested, that you're like, okay, I see what they were talking about. You don't understand until you're going through it. So it's the same thing here. And I just feel like there is literally nothing that you could have told me to literally prepare me for this. But when I say waking up at those times, even though I'm tired, even though his dad might be tired, seeing our baby's face and that smile, even sometimes after he stops crying, it melts my heart and it makes me feel so full of joy. It might sound a little cliche to people who have not experienced that before, But for parents, for moms, even if you're a new mom, you can relate, I'm sure. Just being able to hold my baby, hug him, kiss on him, that is the type of joy that I look forward to now that I had no clue of before. I never knew that I could love someone as much as I love him. I love my siblings. I love my mother. I love my dad, but there's a different type of love that you get from loving on your little one, the one that you created, the one that literally developed in your body. Moms, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Even just getting that skin to skin with him for the first time, I felt so connected to my baby already because while he was in my womb, I already talked to my baby. I already just loved him so much. Now I can finally hold you. Now I can finally see your face, see your eyes. I was just so amazed that I just would not want to take my eyes off of him. Even when they put him in the warmer when he first came out, it's like I'm telling these people how to do their job. You're not doing enough for my baby. And they're like, look, this is common. We get it. We understand you're a new mom. And they didn't want me to be offended either. They were like, we understand, like, but look, this is common. Yeah, I do not play about that little one, and I don't play about myself. As you can see, mama still keeps herself up. And there's times where we are in those trenches, and child, I'm not looking as presentable. I look healthy, but just a little crunchy. 9 times out of 10, I still get myself together, while baby is with his dad. I'm like, look, babe, I'm about to go get myself together because mama is looking a hot mess. Even when I had my baby, look, I was down to the nines. Like, baby, they were like, you look good. Okay. But when those tears started coming down, I was not ready for that pain. Honey, it was no joke. Definitely had a great time getting to share with you guys what my first month of being a mother and going through postpartum has been like for me. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know what your first month was like. If you are a mom, if you're a new mom, if you are expecting, let me know what your due date is down below. What's something that you are looking forward to with having your little one at home? And I will see you guys in the next video. I know I said I was going to do a what's in my hospital bag, and I did not do it, but I promise I'm still going to go ahead and make you guys a video just to show you what I did pack and what are some things that I feel like you can probably do without. Until then, love you guys. This is